Something strange is happening in the WNBA right now, and most people are missing it. While the league is drowning in CBA chaos, stalled negotiations, and non-stop will there be a season panic, one player is moving like none of that noise even exists. Caitlin Clark. No statements, no union talking points, no social media pressure campaigns, just work. And that alone is changing the entire narrative heading into the 2026 WNBA season. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. When your biggest star is locked in the gym,
so it looked like Caitlin Clark is not taking any time off. She's going as scheduled as planned. That is getting ready for the 2026 season. Despite the reports that is steady coming out each and every day about them being stalemate for this CBA agreement, Caitlin Clark don't give two shits about it, bro. She is steady in the lab, perfecting her game and getting ready to make a comeback for the 2026 season. Now, as of right now,
playing 5-on-5, training like the season is guaranteed, it sends a message louder than any press release ever could. Is Caitlin Clark subtly telling fans the league knows more than it's admitting? Or is she signaling something even bigger, that she doesn't need the WNBA to move forward? That question has the owners nervous, the players divided, and the league's nasty narrative suddenly looking fragile. Welcome back to Her Hoops. If you care about where the WNBA is headed in 2026 and why Caitlin Clark may already be controlling the story, hit that like, subscribe, and let's break this down properly.
And I believe the WNBA owners is using Caitlin Clark as a vessel to let everybody know close to getting the deal done, or Caitlin Clark could just say, screw it, I'm going to play basketball with or without the W. That's what it looked like to me. I don't know, but this is just great. I have not seen this video in its entirety. Let's watch it. Back. Porter's back.
Game winner.
To understand why this moment matters, you've got to rewind to how the 2025 season actually ended for Caitlin Clark. This wasn't some clean storybook finish. It was restriction after restriction. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White made it clear late in the season. Caitlin Clark was not cleared for full 5-on-5 basketball. She could do individual work, she could shoot, she could condition, but live action, off limits.
But yeah, man, so we reacted to that yesterday, and there was some more footage that came out too. Caitlin Clark juggling again.
Okay. Forward, side, and then side, side. Okay, hand. Okay, hands. Okay, hands. Side, and then up. Okay. Forward, side, and then side, side. Okay.
Now, this was her last year juggling.
This wasn't some clean storybook finish. It was restriction after restriction. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White made it clear late in the season. Caitlin Clark was not cleared for full 5-on-5 basketball. She could do individual work, she could shoot, she could condition, but live action, off limits. That detail matters because the narrative around Caitlin quietly shifted. The talk went from unstoppable rookie phenomenon to whispers about durability, workload, and whether the league had finally caught up. Fast forward to now. The WNBA doesn't even have a signed CBA for 2026. Free agency is shaky. Owners and players are staring each other down. And yet, this is the moment Caitlin Clark chooses to resurface. Not with a quote, not with a carefully worded interview, but with 5-on-5 footage inside the Indiana Fever practice facility. That's not accidental timing. That's a calculated signal, whether she intended it or not, that says, I'm ready, with or without the chaos. And when the face of your league moves like the season is inevitable, the league's excuses start collapsing. Let's break down exactly why this footage hit the way it did. First, this wasn't rehab work. This wasn't light cardio. This wasn't look busy for the cameras. Caitlin Clark is running full 5-on-5 basketball inside the Indiana Fever practice facility. Live reads, live defenders, game speed decision-making. That's a massive shift from where she was just months ago. Remember, the last time we heard anything official, 5-on-5 wasn't even on the table. Now suddenly, she's not just cleared, she's comfortable, confident, and moving like someone preparing for a real season, not a hypothetical one. Second, the timing is loud. Every single day, headlines scream CBA stalemate, season delay, free agency in limbo. And in the middle of that uncertainty, Caitlin Clark's camp releases workout footage through her photographer. Not leaked, not accidental, released. That's controlled messaging. Finally, this isn't national team action. This isn't USA basketball tryouts. This is team-specific work, in Indy, with Fever infrastructure behind it. That detail changes everything, because it tells fans, sponsors, and media one thing very clearly. Preparations are happening as if 2026 is locked in. And once the public believes that, the leverage shifts fast. Here's where the WNBA's messaging starts to fall apart. On one hand, you've got league headlines pushing uncertainty. Nothing is guaranteed. Talks are stalled. Players may sit. The tone is doom. The tone is leverage. The tone is fear. But on the other hand, your biggest star is training like the lights are coming on no matter what. That contradiction is impossible to ignore. If the league truly believed the 2026 season was in serious danger, why would Caitlin Clark be cleared for full 5-on-5? Why would team facilities be active? Why would footage be rolling out instead of silence? Either the WNBA knows a deal is closer than they're admitting, or Caitlin Clark has reached a point where she's no longer waiting on permission. And that second option? That's what scares people. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's an economic engine. Ticket sales, TV ratings, sponsorships, media attention. The league's recent growth is tied directly to her presence. So when she moves forward confidently, it undercuts every pressure tactic in the room. Owners lose fear. Fans relax. Media narratives soften. Suddenly, the nasty narrative, the one about dysfunction, instability, and internal fighting, starts to crack. And here's the uncomfortable part nobody wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to threaten anyone. Her actions do the talking. And right now, those actions say the WNBA doesn't have as much leverage as it thinks. Let's talk about what Caitlin Clark is actually doing, not just that she's back. 5-on-5 basketball isn't about conditioning, it's about trust. Trust in the body, trust in timing, trust in decision-making under pressure. That's why teams don't rush players into it unless something has fundamentally changed. What we're seeing now is a Caitlin Clark who isn't just healthy, she's ahead of schedule. The movement looks sharp, the pace looks intentional, and the confidence? That's the biggest tell of all. Then there's the smaller stuff that matters more than people realize. The juggling drills, the footwork, the coordination work that fans laugh at, but coaches obsess over. That's not social content, that's skill refinement. Those drills improve hand-eye coordination, reaction time, and balance, the exact traits that separate great shooters from unstoppable ones. Caitlin isn't just maintaining her game, she's sharpening it. And here's the personal layer that gets overlooked. Caitlin Clark has always responded to chaos the same way, by locking in. When noise rises, she disappears into the lab. That's who she's been since college. That's how she broke records. That's how she handled pressure. So while the league debates contracts and timelines, Caitlin is preparing for basketball to be basketball again. And that quiet discipline? It's reshaping how fans view the entire situation. Caitlin Clark training through uncertainty doesn't just affect Indiana, it affects everyone. For fans, it shifts the emotional temperature. Instead of panic and pessimism, there's anticipation. If Caitlin is preparing like the season is happening, people start planning, buying tickets, watching coverage, staying invested. For sponsors and networks, it's reassurance. They don't care about negotiating tactics. They care about faces, stability, and momentum. And Caitlin Clark represents all three. Her presence alone keeps the business side moving forward, even when the league itself looks stuck. For players, though, this is where things get complicated. Because when the face of the league operates outside the fear cycle, it weakens collective pressure. That doesn't mean Caitlyn is anti-union, it means her value gives her options others don't have. And culturally, this flips the script. Instead of the WNBA being framed as dysfunctional or fragile, the narrative becomes, the game is bigger than the drama. The focus shifts back to basketball, where the league desperately needs it to be. That's why this moment matters. Caitlyn Clark isn't saying anything controversial. She isn't calling anyone out. She's just showing up. And in a league fighting its own image, that quiet consistency might be the most powerful statement of all. Here's the bottom line. Whether people want to admit it or not, Caitlyn Clark just changed the tone of the entire 2026 WNBA conversation without saying a single word. No press conference, no leaked quotes, no dramatic threats. Just 5-on-5 basketball. And in a league buried under CBA tension, that simplicity is powerful. Because while narratives were turning nasty about delays, dysfunction, and uncertainty, Caitlyn Clark quietly reminded everyone what actually drives this league forward: the game. If the WNBA season happens in 2026, people will look back at moments like this and realize the shift started here, when the league's biggest star refused to pause her momentum. And if things don't go smoothly? Well, this footage already proved something just as important. Caitlyn Clark is bigger than the noise. She's prepared, she's focused, and she's moving like basketball is inevitable. That's a message owners can't control, players can't ignore, and fans won't forget. So the question isn't whether Caitlyn Clark is ready for 2026. The real question is whether the WNBA is ready for her. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you see this as confidence or a warning shot? This is Her Hoops. Make sure you like, subscribe, keep those notifications on, and as always, shake the haters off. I'm out.